Now, this one's an interesting one. Did keep the Blast Furnace with Feeding Frenzy kill clip. Yeah, the new one that's coming back next week in a couple days is just straight up way better than this. So, yeah, unfortunately, this Blast Furnace, I'm gonna do it. On camera, I'm gonna do it. It's gotta go. Like, it's so power crap by the new one.
3 days later. Nice.
What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today the Blast Furnace Pulse Rifle is finally back within Destiny 2 thanks to the Into the Light free DLC, and we're going to be showcasing the new and, dare I say, greatly improved version. Now, I was a huge fan of the OG Blast Furnace back in the Black Armory expansion, and since I've officially become a dad over the past year, my love for pulse rifles has only grown. It's the weirdest thing, guys, but regardless, let's go over the role that I specifically was going for, what I think is the PvE God role. A ton of people are super interested in the Blast Furnace for PvP, and for good reason. The stats of the Blast Furnace are insane. It has crazy good base range and base stability. It's a darn laser beam. However, these don't hurt when you're shooting Thrall. I mean, they might not be as necessary, but seriously, in a PvE environment, those are also going to matter. And guys, the PvE God rolls, and again, plural, this thing's perk pool is ridiculous. The Blast Furnace's God rolls for PvE are so good. I think this is arguably the new best PvE pulse rifle in the entire game. And I know I've kind of said that a couple of times with a Brave Arsenal weapon, but I am telling you, Bungie has been knocking these Brave Arsenal weapons out of the park. They're incredibly unique. The perk pools are going to be even better than most raid weapons, and the Blast Furnace is no exception. So let's go over those absolute juicer, arguably best in slot PvE God rolls you guys want to keep an eye out for. Now, in terms of your barrel, it doesn't matter that much in PvE. However, keep in mind, if you do get a barrel that improves the range, you can actually get to the 100 range cap with the Blast Furnace, with the combination of range increasing options. So that's insane. But in the second column for your magazine perk, this actually matters quite a bit because, as I mentioned earlier, the Blast Furnace is actually a 4-round burst, aggressive burst archetype, 450 rounds per minute, and this is fairly rare for pulse rifles. And one of the indicative features of this archetype, and especially the Blast Furnace, is actually a pretty sizable magazine size. So you can actually see right here, like, I'm toying with putting on this extended mag perk. I'm going from 40 rounds all the way to 52. You're not just getting 3 rounds like you do with an SMG. These extended mag perks will actually make a pretty big difference. Now, aside from that, guys, in the left column, the first main perk for PvE, I think there's one clear option. And it's something that, until the Into the Light free DLC came out, did not exist in the left column for any gun in the game. And that's actually going to be Kinetic Tremors. So this says sustained kinetic damage to a target amidst a shockwave that damages any nearby targets. And here's the thing, guys, Kinetic Tremors is arguably at its most powerful, specifically with the Blast Furnace, and here's why. Kinetic Tremors has proven itself to be a viable perk, especially for endgame PvE content. I really liked using my old hung jury from years ago with Kinetic Tremors when you were doing Grandmasters and you had a Scout Rifle anti-barrier rounds, right? You'd be picking away at a champion, you'd trigger Kinetic Tremors, it would do a lot more damage to that singular target, it would clear out adds beside that singular target. It was very good. However, how good Kinetic Tremors is often depends on the weapon type. For example, Kinetic Tremors can also spawn on the Midnight Coup. However, because that's a hand cannon and it's going to take 6 rounds before Kinetic Tremors triggers, a lot of people don't like it. Now with pulse rifles, it's going to take 11 rounds to trigger. Now, what this means is that because most pulse rifles are a 3-round burst, they're going to trigger Kinetic Tremors on their 4th burst on a single target. But with the Blast Furnace, because it has a 4-round burst, it's actually going to trigger it 1 burst sooner. And it's not like it shoots slower than other pulse rifles. So specifically with the Blast Furnace, you can trigger Kinetic Tremors sooner and much more often than most other weapons in the game. Again, Kinetic Tremors is kind of at its best with the Blast Furnace because of its archetype. And on top of that, we're also finding Kinetic Tremors in the left column. Guys, this again did not exist before Into the Light. The only other weapon in all of Destiny 2 that can get Kinetic Tremors in the left is the Hung Jury, also from the Brave Arsenal. And so that means you don't have to replace a damage increase with Kinetic Tremors. You can have Kinetic Tremors and a damage increase. And so what damage increase are we going for? Well, I've gotta shout out one of my all-time favorite perks here, and a perk that is getting so much love within Brave Arsenal roles. It's gotta be One for All. Now what this says is that hitting 3 separate targets increases damage for a moderate duration. It's a 35% damage increase, which is one of the highest you can get for a weapon perk. And normally One for All is great, but it does require some effort to trigger, right? You have to shoot 3 separate targets. You have to have 3 separate bursts on 3 separate guys. Or do you? Because as I went over in my video on the Midnight Coup, you can actually trigger One for All with 1 single shot with either Firefly or Explosive Payload because of the area of effect. Does it also work with Kinetic Tremors? Well guys, as you can see right here, I shoot this servitor and only this servitor. You can see the explosions emulate outwards, and then boom, I have One for All active. So yes, the explosions from Kinetic Tremors will actually trigger One for All. That's insane. That means you can use Kinetic Tremors where it's at its best, trying to hit down yellow bars, more powerful targets, champions when you're in Nightfalls with, it's overload pulse rifles literally right now, right? So you're shooting a champion, you're triggering those explosions, and any nearby enemies you hit, you're also easily triggering One for All for that 35% damage boost. That is incredible. Now, in case you're wondering, does the opposite work? Does One for All, the damage boost, actually boost the damage of Kinetic Tremors? Well, unfortunately, no. It's the same, like 10,700 damage both before and after One for All. So unfortunately, Kinetic Tremors triggers One for All, but not the other way around. Still, that is an incredibly potent combo and an easy way to trigger One for All. And personally, that is the main role I'm going for. Either Appended Mag or Extended Mag to massively improve the magazine size. Then you have Kinetic Tremors plus One for All for an absolute wombo combo. Incredible single target damage for a primary, but also great at absolutely wrecking through adds thanks to that damage boost from One for All. But it's actually not the only incredible combo you can get. Instead of One for All, you actually also have Rampage, right? Where getting a kill is going to improve your damage, stacks up to 3 times for a 33% maximum total damage increase. And in case you were wondering, and as you can see right here, the explosions from Kinetic Tremors, if they actually kill enemies, they will trigger the damage boost from Rampage. So again, you're shooting one target, you're shooting a champion, you kill the thralls running by, and boom, suddenly you have Rampage active. That is also very, very powerful. But if you don't want Rampage, this thing can also get Frenzy. And that, although it's going to provide much less of a damage increase, it's also going to provide a ton of handling and a reload speed benefit. Now, again, it's not necessarily as much of a combo with Kinetic Tremors, but it's just 2 very, very good PvE perks on top of each other. Now, you can get other damage increasing perks like Kill Clip and even Desperate Measures, but I don't quite think those are as good. And I should mention, you can get Firefly in this column if you want Kinetic Tremors plus Firefly. You just want everything to explode on your screen. That could be a very fun role. And you can also get Shoot to Loot in the left column, which, does have some especially PvE endgame applications, but I think the fact that this is one of only 2 weapons in the entire game that can get Kinetic Tremors in the left, and the fact that it combines so well with both One for All and Rampage, and the fact that it's just so good with an aggressive burst pulse, like getting that trigger earlier than you normally would with a pulse rifle, that has gotta be the role I'm gonna recommend. Like, it's just doing things that most other weapons in the game literally cannot. Literally no other pulse rifle in the game can get that same role of kinetic plus one for all. This is the only one. And on top of that, if another pulse rifle could get that role, it wouldn't be as good unless it was another aggressive burst. So the uniqueness factor is off the charts for the Blast Furnace, guys. 100% worth getting and adding to your PvE arsenal on top of getting the PvP god roll. Which, in case you're wondering, I think has got to be Headseeker in the left column. Again, super rare to find it in the left column here, combined with Kill Clip or Rampage or even Desperate Measures or Rapid Hit. Like, that's just going to be insane. But again, I wanted to shine a light on the PvE god roll because I think a lot of people are overlooking just how insane it actually is. And when we have pulse rifles as a featured anti-champion weapon, you're using stuff in Grandmasters, this is 100% the thing I'm going to grab. I literally can't even think of another pulse rifle, another legendary pulse rifle I would even consider using over this thing. It's that bonkers. Guys, that's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.